That, like the Brookhaven petition, there were some questions about the validity of the signatures, the validity of the information, the affidavits, and following that story, the city of Chamblee decided it was better to withdraw that petition, and so that's where that stands. Doesn't mean it can't come back up, but it's been a very interesting year for annexation. 2023 was, and I imagine 2024 will be as well, because these discussions don't go anywhere. The benefit for annexation for cities is tax money. They get these commercial and residential areas, and they take that tax money and use it to pay for services to those areas and pay for services to other parts of the city. The county, it won't surprise you to know, is not generally a fan of annexations, because that means less tax money goes to them. The cities would argue that, well, it's a break-even proposition because they're just providing services that the county did provide, so it costs the county less to provide the services, and round we go with the annexation discussions. But the Chamblee annexation petition met the same fate as the Brookhaven annexation petition, and interestingly enough, we also have a follow-up to the Brookhaven annexation story.
I was going to ask you what the comparison there was.
They completed, so Brookhaven withdrew the annexation petition and asked DeKalb County to call a referendum on the annexation question, which means it would have gone to a vote. DeKalb County has zero incentive to do that, and instead told Brookhaven to go investigate the issues in your petition, and then maybe we'll talk about considering possibly at some point in the future, if and whatever, a referendum to vote and incorporate these areas into Brookhaven. Well, Brookhaven hired, a handwriting expert, and they found issues with 6 or 7 of the signatures there out of, it was 400-something parcels. Brookhaven basically said, these issues came up. It's not going to prevent us from considering future annexations. So I fully expect that this will come up again in 2024, particularly as we've got the legislative session going on. There might be some bills introduced either to incorporate some of these areas into a city. I mean, to be clear, I haven't heard of anything. This is just Dan speculating. But my assumption is that we will hear more about annexation and cityhood in the 2024 session. There might be some cities who have strong ties with their legislative delegation who say, hey, maybe we want this in our city. So expect that to be something that comes up this session. I would be shocked if it didn't, frankly.
Yeah, this is certainly something I know you will continue to follow. We will also, on the Atlanta News First app, if you have that, make sure you download it. We'll keep you updated on any developments. This next one I actually wanted to ask you about because I know that you are a dad.
Yes.
So you probably have strong feelings.
I do.
What is your position on a proposal that might give DeKalb County schools a 5-day fall break? I'm sure it's popular with the kids.
Well, it's a done deal now. They approved that calendar yesterday. So what's going to happen is the way it has worked in DeKalb County for as long as I've been there and longer is city schools of Decatur and Atlanta would take a week-long fall break, and DeKalb County would do like a 3-day Friday through Monday. One of them was a teacher workday sort of thing. And so the calendars were not in sync with what City Schools of Decatur and Atlanta was doing. Obviously, there are going to be some issues for parents who have childcare needs. There are going to be some issues dealing with that situation. Trying to figure out what to do with your kids when they're not in school is a hassle for anyone. So what the new calendar does is it gives a proper fall break from October 14th through 18th, and then you get the holiday break, the 2 weeks you get off at Christmas that everyone gets. And then on February 17th, they're going to have a winter break, and that's going to go start on President's Day. And then they will have the spring break that they usually have in April. So we're basically doubling the amount of time each year that students get out of school. For me personally, they stress these kids out a lot about the milestone tests. And it's kind of weird to see in children that young being so concerned about tests and deadlines and that sort of thing. So given the pace of the testing that our kids experience in all school districts, not just DeKalb County schools. I think the breaks are probably a good thing for their mental health. And for those of us with families that live out of state, it just gives us more opportunities to see our families throughout the school year. That's been a very challenging thing for us. We have a lot of family that lives out of state, and it's not always easy to do a whirlwind visit on a weekend, on a 3-day weekend, and come back. So
Right.
It'll be nice to have those options available to us as well.
That's good. So no longer a long weekend, a proper Monday through Friday off with the family, spend some time. Hopefully for those parents that have to work, this isn't a heavy burden on childcare. I know that's always a reality for so many that are trying to balance, parenthood and work.
There will be camps. The county usually offers some pretty low-cost day camps for parents in these situations. They have in the past. Any local rec center will probably offer a week-long camp at a pretty low rate to do that. So there are already people running camps who are poised to take advantage of this new schedule and handle childcare for anybody that needs it.
And hey, some other good news for DeKalb County. They are getting electric school buses following funding from the federal government. We know the EPA administrator came down yesterday. Our Rebecca Schramm actually went to DeKalb to follow the announcement and kind of take a closer look at how this could positively impact students.
Even have a tailpipe. They're all electric, and today some students along with some VIPs got to ride on one for the first time.
It has more than 50% reduction in maintenance cost.
It's not your typical school bus ride. This one has a police escort, and on board, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock and Congressman Hank Johnson. They accompanied students from Stone Mountain Middle School for a test ride on a new electric school bus. The DeKalb County School District is getting 25 of them thanks to a $20 million grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Did you hear that? $20 million.
DeKalb County's new school superintendent, Dr. Devon Horton, made the announcement at a pep rally style gathering at the school.
Good morning.
Back on the bus, we noticed Eric Hofstetter if he has a timeline yet for when the district will get the buses.
I don't have those dates yet. Again, we're going to have to work with the manufacturers. I know there's some lead times on it, and it'll take a minute to manufacture.
But maybe
next
school year?
Probably not this coming school year because that's 6 months away, but it's a possibility for the following school year.
The grant includes the necessary infrastructure. DeKalb now joins Atlanta and Clayton County, which already received similar grants. Fulton County already has electric buses on the roads. Near Stone Mountain in DeKalb County, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
So Fulton County already has these buses. DeKalb now receiving them. Really big news for this area and these students.
Yeah, I do want to point out, just for some context, DeKalb County's entire fleet is 1,145 buses. And the buses, the 25 buses that this program will fund, probably won't be hitting the streets until 2025-ish. So just wanted to provide a little additional context for your audience.
Yeah, and we're trying to, as we're moving as a society, more technology is being utilized to help us and help improve how we do things for these students. Hopefully this is another mode for them to get to school, but also, I don't know, be healthier to the environment a little bit. So
one would hope.
I love to hear that. All right, moving on to our next headline, taking you out to Avendale Estates, where a new tax district is coming for, or has come for, downtown businesses. This is something you all reported on Decaturish.com back in December, right?
Yeah, Zoe Seiler's been following this really closely in Avendale Estates for Decaturish.com. There's been a lot of commercial development in Avendale over the last few years as they've gotten new elected officials, people who are worried about the imbalance of tax revenue that's placed on residents for city services. The idea behind most commercial development is to diversify your revenue stream so you can have more money to address things like stormwater. And Avendale Estates decided to create, what did they call it, a special service district that would encompass most downtown businesses and residents. They haven't set a tax rate yet, I want to be clear. It just gives them the ability to set a special tax rate for those businesses, and that money would in turn be used to fund some of these lingering infrastructure projects that have been on the city's books for a while. It was a 3-2 vote. Obviously, new taxes are not very popular. I think that there's some concern, a lot of concern among the business community that it's sort of penalizing them for the success of Avendale, and that they're being asked to disproportionately shoulder that. And keep in mind, most of these businesses we're talking about are small businesses. They're not giant corporations that can just shrug off that additional cost. So it matters to them. So I think people on the Avendale State City Commission were very torn about what to do. I think Avendale does have a lot of infrastructure needs that they need funded, and they're trying to find a way to distribute that amongst business owners and residents in a way they feel is fair. On the flip side of that, the business owners will benefit pretty heavily from the street calming project there on US 278 that'll bring more walkers and customers to their businesses. So they will, in theory, realize some profits within the next 5 to 10 years as some of this development comes online. The question is, can they shoulder the tax burden until they get there to where they can shrug it off too, just like any other big corporation?
And hey, another reminder, if you didn't need it, a chance to support small businesses, your local businesses in your area. Make sure if you have an opportunity to do that, maybe you have something you need, that you're looking out for those the small businesses in a way that you can uplift them. Another headline that I wanted to get into just briefly before we get into our talk of the town and the latest of what people in DeKalb are saying. This is just a quick announcement, but kind of an exciting one. Yeah. Melissa Etheridge is going to be headlining Amplify Decatur this year. This is the music festival out in Decatur. Any thoughts? I'm not sure what your musical preferences are, Dan.
I like it all. Melissa Etheridge is very talented, very great. She had a lot of career highs in the 90s, still out there, still grinding, making great music. Melissa Etheridge is a really great headliner for this festival. They've done a good job over the years of bringing in people that you've heard of, that have got name recognition to headline this festival. But the more important part about Amplify, it goes to a really great cause. Amplify has raised more than $500,000 for anti-poverty and anti-homelessness initiatives. So when you buy that ticket, you're supporting something good. I also want to point out that one of the bands that will be on the square for the Amplify Music Festival will be a local band that won a Battle of the Bands contest at Eddie's Attic. So best of luck to all the kids competing in that. We'll be interested to see who wins that. And there it is, Amplify.
I love community events like those.
Yeah,
just
Amplify is a great event, and Decatur has done a really good job with it over the years. And it's in the square, and you can go and walk to different places on the square while you're there. And it's
it'll
nice.
Be warm enough to actually enjoy it. I know a lot of us are a little bitter about the cold I am.
Well, hopefully it'll be nice. I think it's in April. I have to check my calendar, but the weather's usually pretty decent for that. And people always have a good time. We always send Dean Hess out there, and he gets great photos, and it's a hit every year they have it, and I assume it will be this year.
Well, as we move along with this, my favorite segment that we do on these episodes is the talk of the town, and it's really looking closer at what DeKalb County is talking about, all the residents out there. This one goes out to a local business that was standing strong for 45 years and now announcing its closure. And I'm sure some people that frequented, residents that are going to be saying goodbye, this is kind of a little emotional for them.
Well, they didn't get a chance to say goodbye. They closed on January 1, and that was that. The chef is decided that he's going to, Steve Jow is going to become a private chef. That's what he's moving into. It was a family business for a long time. In the first quarter of every year, there seems to be a glut of restaurant closures because fourth quarters make or break for so many people. I think in Ping Ho's case, it was a long-time family business. I don't know the whole situation, but it could have been that there wasn't necessarily a successor willing to take that on. And running a restaurant is really hard. Running any small business is really hard, but restaurants particularly so. I think a lot of people are upset, but a lot of people surprisingly understand it, wish the owners well in their retirement. Holds a special place in the hearts of a lot of people in DeKalb County. I know that.
And, as we talk about this, we talk about closures and possibly new openings. The headline, if you were watching us on YouTube Live, is one that keeps getting asked again and again as we go through these episodes. Could a Trader Joe's finally be coming to Decatur? We might have a hint of an answer now. Dan, is that right?
Trader Joe's is like the Taylor Swift of developments. It's just whatever they do, it makes news and people want to read about it, even if it's just speculative. So tomorrow's news today is a local website, business website. It's run by Eli Zandeman, who is an incredibly talented reporter, and he gets big scoops before anybody else does. He's got great sources. I unfortunately do not have the same sources that he has on this one, but he published a story recently that said Trader Joe's was going to be looking at a spot in the Decatur area. Well, the Decatur area is pretty big, so it's going to be a little hard. Are we talking about Tucker? Are we talking about the new North DeKalb Mall development? Are we talking about the mixed use that's going into Baby Kroger? There's been some talk about it potentially going to that auto repair place on Lawrenceville Highway. Who knows? But the mere prospect of having a Trader Joe's in Decatur, DeKalb County area is enough to make the internet blow up. And even though it wasn't even my story, really, I was citing Eli's story. It did gangbusters on my website, and I looked at it as, well, I wish I had better information, but here's what we got. So Trader Joe's could be opening a Decatur area location somewhere sometime.
Do you have a preference on where that should be? North DeKalb Mall, Baby Kroger?
By my house would be great.
Right
next
course.
to it would be fine. I'd love for my home to jump $500,000 in value. Would be just fine. Anybody, that is really going to be, wherever that thing winds up, the people who live near it are going to be, their homes are going to be almost lottery tickets. It is going to, development is going to follow wherever that thing ends up. It's just the mystique of Trader Joe's. People love that place. Like I said, it is the Taylor Swift of developments. People just want any news at all about it, and that is what we know. I've been thinking about putting a bounty out there for people who will get me the exact location,
the scoop
of the Trader Joe's. I might put a bounty on that, see if I can have somebody cough up some information. So Eli and I have a friendly little competition going on. I respect Eli and Tomorrow's News Today tremendously, and I will say if you are not reading that website, you definitely should, because he does a lot of great reporting.
I will say, with the frequency that we talk about Trader Joe's and try to manifest it into existence for Decatur,
yes.
We will have to do one of these episodes with you inside of the Trader Joe's when it does, or should it come to fruition.
If they let me inside of the Trader Joe's, absolutely I will. They're not, their PR people are like, oh, we don't keep a mailing list. We just tell you when we show up. It's that sort of thing. They don't need the publicity because they already get it. Have you ever seen a Trader Joe's ad? I haven't. Because they don't need it. They don't need it.
Hey, well, we like to end these episodes on a good note, spotlighting a community member, an event in DeKalb County that just puts some warm feelings in your heart. And this one is a happy retirement to a Decatur Assistant City Manager, Linda Harris, 35 years serving her community.
Linda Harris is as Decatur gets. She graduated from Decatur High. She graduated from Agnes Scott College. Linda was there when Peggy Maris, who was the longtime city manager, was there, and Lynn Minnie, who was the longtime assistant city manager. Hugh Saxon was also there for a long time. Hugh Saxon is a contractor now. They won't let him retire for whatever reason, but it was those four people who basically ran Decatur for decades. So Linda leaving in many ways is the sign of a new, I don't want to say regime because that's not the right word, but a new group of people that are running Decatur who were mentored by people like Linda and Lynn and Peggy Maris. A few things that Linda has to her credit: she helped start the city website back in 1995, when city websites were sort of a novel concept. She started the Decatur 101 class, which is, she invites people from the community and they talk to you about how the city works and who runs things, and they talk about different aspects of government. And she also started the Decatur Focus magazine. It goes out to everybody's mailbox. It's mostly public relations, but you do have some news in there from the city government. Linda's contributions are really hard to overstate. She knows a lot. She's a fountain of institutional knowledge within the city of Decatur, and I know a lot of the city's elected leadership is going to miss having her around on the day-to-day. But as is often the case with Decatur, former officials tend to serve on various boards and things in their retirement. So I suspect once Linda takes a well-deserved break, we'll see Linda again in some capacity in the city of Decatur.
And I will say, I just want to share this quote. This is the Decaturish.com website, by the way. I showed it briefly earlier as we were talking about Linda. Mayor Patty Garrett saying, quote, "I will miss her dependable, steady presence as well as her smile and laughter. I appreciate her as a colleague and a friend. To Linda, I say, a job well done." So, a job well done, Linda. Happy retirement, 35 years plus to your community. Really just
I will add one
remarkable
quick
woman.
thing about Linda, if you don't mind. Linda would tell you the truth, and that matters to a journalist. That does matter. Linda would actually just tell you the truth, and she set the standard for a lot of city officials where it was, don't go through a public spokesperson. Just talk to people, tell people what's going on, communicate, get your message out there. And Linda was really good at that, and I really wish more city officials were like Linda in that regard.
Yeah. Hey, if you liked this episode, the good stories, the major developing stories out of DeKalb County, tune in every Tuesday at 12:30. We jump on here, just chat with you. Especially if you're watching us on YouTube Live, you can jump in on the conversation. Let us know how you're feeling about the Trader Joe's in Decatur, things like that. But in the meantime, we do want to keep you updated both on air and online with the latest happenings in Metro Atlanta and DeKalb County. Dan, how can people connect with Decaturish?
Well, Decaturish.com is your first stop. That is our website. SupportYourLocalNews.com is where you can subscribe. You can pay us a little bit of money each month to support the news that we do, keep it from going behind a paywall. Locally sourced news.com is where you can sign up for our email list. And I do have a special announcement for the audience. We're actually going to hire a chief revenue officer. She starts next week, so she's going to handle advertising, sales, and subscriptions for us. It's a huge, huge thing for our company. We've never really had a full-time employee who's focused solely on the revenue picture and making our news website sustainable. But that is the goal for 2024, is to make Decaturish sustainable and profitable so we can grow our team to meet the needs of DeKalb County, because they deserve quality local news source. I want to add that another quality local news source, locally owned news source, is Atlanta News First. They're our media partner. By supporting Atlanta News First, you're also supporting Decaturish. So please do us a favor and download the Atlanta News First app so you can get episodes of this show and all the other great shows produced by our media partners at Atlanta News First.
Now, in the meantime, download the Atlanta News First app. We'll get push alert notifications directly on breaking news and other major developing stories. We do also cover the DeKalb County area. We'll tune in back here on Tuesday, 12:30 of next week. We'll have another episode for you and the latest happenings in DeKalb County. Thanks for watching. I'm Maria Moreau, joined by Dan Wisenhunt and the Decaturish team.
Thanks for watching.